Okay, just wait for a few more people and then we will get going. How are you all? Where are you all from? Where are you all from today? Alright. Hey Brenley. Hey Heidi. London, UK. Must be late there at the moment. Alright. Hey Chris. Judy, Pam, Laurie, Tito, Lynn. I can't keep up. Okay, so let's get started. Right, now, before we say anything or do anything, I need to say this. Now, since I put out the video saying you can't worship and exist in a 5D New Earth environment, a galactic environment, and you need a higher consciousness to work with the beds, pardon me, people have completely misinterpreted my information and created something that is just not true and spread it around, and now I'm the Antichrist. Now I'm Satan. Okay, because I apparently said something which is completely bullshit. Before we start, you have to listen. Okay, I mean listen to understand, not listen to create what you think is right and then fill in the gaps and then turn it around on the messenger or the message. It has been just ridiculous, the amount of people, 95% of people have not heard the information. They hear little tiny pieces and then fill in the rest with their own interpretation and then run with it. That is not okay. This is how misinformation and bullshit rumors start, because you don't bother to listen. Now, for this live stream, you will need to listen without emotion, without judgment, without your negativity towards myself. What I say is so clear and easy to understand. How you can misinterpret it is staggering. Absolute staggering. So if you're not going to bother listening to every word I say, you might as well not bother listening at all. Just don't start spreading shit that has not been said, because you'll be caught out very, very quick. Right. And just one other thing. I hear and see everything. Okay? I know I'm not in many groups. I got rid of most of the groups. But I have a lot of friends and a lot of contacts that are in all the groups. They send me screenshots of conversations, and conversations taking place from people that I actually thought were friends and I could trust. Yeah, not so much. Okay, because they didn't listen to the information, right? People need to actually switch this on and start. This is how people get destroyed, because of people not listening and spreading shit. Now, we're all truthers. We're all humanitarians. If you're listening to this video, then obviously you're in the humanitarian or truth community. So here we go. We all want the truth exposed. We want everything. We don't just want a little bit, we want it all. We want the pedophiles brought to justice. We want the child traffickers. We want the satanic cults stopped. We want it all. All of it. That's why we're here, to get rid of it all. When we come to worship and religion, we have to start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. We have to begin where you are. Okay, when you begin where you are and work your way up through the levels, when you get to the top, you understand what I am saying. So I'm going to break it down for you before we start any questions. You believe in a savior. You believe in an entity outside of yourself that you pray to, that you put all your trust and faith into. Some of you won't make any decisions unless it's God's word or Jesus's word. I'm referring to Jesus for this video, but you can count all the other deities that other cultures and all worship and believe in and all of that. For this discussion, I'm just going to use Jesus, but they're all the same. Okay, for the Egyptians, it's Amun-Ra. For, I don't know, it's Buddha, it's Allah, whatever, okay? For this discussion, I'm just going to use Jesus, all right? That way it covers it all. So you will not make any decisions unless it's God's word, unless Jesus would want it. Jesus died for your sins, therefore you have to follow him. Okay, this is what I'm referring to, worship, okay? Worship. Not just listen to or learn from or love, but I'm talking worship. Okay. The kind of worship that if you were to meet him, would you kiss the ground he walks on? That kind of worship. Okay. So you worship Jesus. You go to church. Many of you go to church. You sit there, you listen to a priest, preacher. I don't even know what they're called. I've stayed the hell away from church, okay, for good reason. And I'll get to that in a minute. You sit there and listen to just say a priest. Okay, that priest then goes back and answers to Archbishop. You can tell I know nothing about religion or church, but they have somebody else they answer to. That person then goes and probably answers to someone else. Then that one answers to someone else. And it goes up the hierarchy like a business. They all answer to the Pope. The Pope. But wait a second. Aren't we exposing the Pope for satanic rituals and pedophilia and everything like that? That's right. The Pope answers to the elites. Wait a second, the elites do the child trafficking and control humanity. The elites, you know, they do everything. They're the ones that's got us in this mess. They're the ones that wants to kill you and have you rot and burn in hell for the rest of eternity. Who do the elites answer to? And this is where it gets interesting. The elites answer to the negative, draconian beings that is not on planet Earth. So the elites are slaves to these extraterrestrial, multidimensional beings of a very low vibrational frequency. Okay, now, who do these draconians and these beings answer to? That's right, AI. Very evil AI. What does that evil AI feed off? Worship. It feeds off loosh, which is fear, anger, poverty, stress, fear, pain. Now, what does every one of those, the elites, the negative ETs, and the AI want from you? Total submission. That's right, total submission. They want you to be their slaves because you feed them. You keep them in existence. By you worshipping their stories, you are keeping them alive. In turn, you are keeping them enslaving you. You are keeping yourself enslaved by feeding their beliefs. It's not even their beliefs, it's their stories to keep you under their control. If you look at it from the top going down, you are at the bottom. You just are at the end of a long chain. You is going to church and worshipping Jesus or all the other beings, whatever, all the other deities and people and whatever. You are feeding the slavery of humanity. You are keeping this planet enslaved. Mental slavery. When you control someone mentally, you control their physical life. Very simple. Very simple. You go to church. You do everything about the Bible. You live by it. You are feeding AI, which is keeping you and the rest of us enslaved. Now, I had to get a few bits of clarification this morning, which I always do before I do a video. Especially one about something that I have spent my whole life staying the hell away from because I knew this slavery system. The Bible. Okay, let's talk about the Bible, and it's only going to be brief because this is not what this video is about. It's about worship and the higher living in the higher dimensions. The book of knowledge. Okay, I always thought the book of knowledge was the Bible. It's not. The book of knowledge was written by a particular person who had a brother. Okay. The book of knowledge was written by Seth, who is the third son of Adam and Eve. In the Bible. We're talking two different books here. Seth had a brother. His name was Jesus. Actually, it wasn't, because those names did not exist at that time. Okay. So there's a bit of book of knowledge and a bit of the Bible in this. So, let me just change hands here. Can't wait till I have a room and a computer to do this. So, Seth wrote the Bible, or wrote the book of knowledge. Jesus was his brother. I'm just using those names because that's what's known and that's what's popular, that's what people understand. Jesus spread the word of the book of knowledge, which is of higher consciousness. So, it is similar to Ra, what Ra teaches. Okay. Love, unity, compassion, standing in your own light, realizing your own power, your own inner strength. He preached everything that I am talking about now, what I've been teaching. I haven't taught anything different than what Jesus taught. Nothing different. It's all the same. All the same. This is what consciousness is. So, what actually happened, according to my sources, okay, and I believe this 100% truthfully, because I have seen the evidence of it as well. That's what happens when you go into the secret space program. You actually have access to a lot of this stuff. So the book of knowledge was confiscated, like the church usually does. Takes everything that is different to what they want. So the book of knowledge was confiscated and Seth disposed of, never to be seen again. Okay. Jesus, because he was the one walking around teaching this, okay, teaching the book of knowledge, teaching higher consciousness, he was made an example of by those in power or control at the time. Remembering, for thousands of years, humans have been under the control of these draconians, these, whatever you want to call the negative ETs, the negative reptilians, okay, for thousands of years, not just 2,000 years or 500 years, thousands of years, okay, 26,000 years to be exact, probably more by now. So they made an example of him by beheading him, stoning him to death and beheading him publicly. The cross, okay, this is where it gets interesting. A couple of hundred years later, about 200 years later, the elites of the time decided to use that book of knowledge and translate it, because it wasn't in English, definitely was not in English. The English language did not exist back then, so it was being translated. The translation was not accurate at all. Okay, so you got the original book of knowledge, which they found under the Vatican. The translation was originally changed. Okay, so it was not really translated. It was little bits and pieces with a whole bunch of stories put in to make everything sound like, oh, wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is amazing. This is incredible. We have to follow this. Wow. Okay. So the translation was not correct. So the original Bible was a lie to begin with. It was not fully translated from the book of knowledge. And then the elites ran with it. They came up with the story of Jesus being nailed to a cross. Why a cross, you ask? I asked that too this morning. Why a cross? Very interesting. Satanism, or the procedures for Satanism, go back to the negative AI. What is one of the symbols of Satanism? An upside down cross. So if you are trying to enslave the minds of an entire population, an entire race, you have to make it sound inviting. So what is the opposite to evil? Light. So what they did is they came up with the story of the inverted cross of Satanism. So they turned the cross the other way, so it's of the light. Nailed him to it and then resurrected 3 days later. No, bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. The whole Bible is a story with bits and pieces taken from the original book of knowledge. Right. Church begins with this so-called Bible. Follow me, God's word. All the stories in the books and the stories in the Bible, those names didn't even exist. So obviously it had to be changed and changed and changed and edited and changed, and books added, stories added, books removed, stories removed, etc., etc., to fit the population and the level of consciousness of the day. Because this is all about consciousness, they need to capture your consciousness, which they have done brilliantly. Absolute brilliantly. Now, this is getting somewhere, okay? If you are, pardon me, if you are understanding the levels of control, then you understand why this belief system cannot exist in a higher dimension, in the higher realms. If you understand where the level of control begins at the top, you will then see, and how everything has changed throughout the centuries, you will then see that the entire church, religion, Bible, belief system has been created to capture your consciousness, to keep you in mental slavery to AI. You say you want to expose it all. Here it is. Dig deeper. If you're calling yourself a truther and still worshipping Jesus and believing the word of the Bible, then you have only scratched the surface of the truth. Why are so many people wanting to expose the truth but refuse to look at the Bible and their belief system? Why? Because AI is trying to keep you under its control, to keep itself alive. This is preservation of life. This is why the Bible is such a controversial topic. They have made it such a controversial topic so that people are scared to even question it. This is why people get so infuriated and so triggered when someone says the Bible's not real. It's because the negative AI has programmed that into you. Your DNA is like a computer program. AI can program that into you. So that's why you are so triggered. That's why you are so scared to let go of your beliefs. That's why you are so scared to open your mind to other possibilities. Because you are so programmed from this AI from the very top. You going to church and sitting there praying to God with the inverted cross from Satanism, you are feeding this control system. You are keeping not only yourself but the rest of the planet in slavery by these slave masters. So, you know, now, when we talk about worship and the higher dimensions, we are talking about levels of consciousness beyond this planet, beyond the stories and history of this planet. We are talking about the consciousness of God source, of creation, of all that is. This is what the original book of knowledge is all about. This is what Jesus taught. Consciousness. Consciousness. Not being resurrected, not sitting in a church and listening to a preacher. It is your own consciousness that Jesus taught. And billions fell for the control system. That control system is being done away with, is being dismantled by the white hats. Whether you believe me or not, it's none of my business. None of my business what you believe. If you think I'm crazy and cooked and whatever, brilliant. All hats off to you. But very soon you will find out that what I have just said is truth. You want disclosure? You're about to get it. You want full disclosure, as you always say? You are about to receive all of it. Are you then going to call the white hats crazy? So yes, you probably will. You'll probably turn your back on the white hats after begging them to release disclosure, after wishing disclosure would just happen so we can move on. And guess what? A lot of you are not going to be happy. A lot of you are going to say, no way, it's not true, after wishing the white hats would release it. There you have it. I just released it. There you have it. What I have just said, when the EBS, if the EBS goes off, which I don't think it will, but that's my personal opinion. I hope it does. I pray it does. If it goes off and they do the whole disclosure thing, guess what? This is part of it. This is part of it. Jesus was a man who walked on earth spreading higher levels of consciousness. And they murdered him for it. They made his brother disappear for writing a higher consciousness book, a guide for humanity to realize who they are and to step into their true self, to realize their true power. The behavior I have seen over the last couple of days from people who claim they love and worship Jesus is exactly the same behavior of the mob that called for Jesus's execution. The behavior towards me is exactly for teaching what Jesus actually taught, is exactly the behavior of the mob that called for Jesus' execution and stood there while they chopped his head off and stoned him and chopped his head off. This is why I cannot stand religion, the Bible, the church. It is the murder of consciousness, which has kept this planet in slavery for at least 2,000 years. So you see, when you enter the higher realms, the higher dimensions, the galactic community, your beliefs in Jesus is a belief in an earth created, or an AI, actually, if you want to go to the highest level, an AI created system of belief to keep you enslaved. That belief, that system, is not sustainable in a galactic community. It's not sustainable. You're working with beings that have Jesus's level of consciousness. When you work in a medbed center, when you work in a healing center, you're working face to face alongside these beings that have Jesus's level of consciousness. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is the thing. This is why a higher level of consciousness outside of the box that the AI control system has placed your mind and kept your mind for so long. This is why it's necessary to remove that box altogether. Get rid of it. You cannot exist in a higher dimensional community, civilization, with these beliefs. Because these other beings that you're going to be working with know that the Jesus story is a complete fabrication of AI. They know your mind has been completely entrapped and enslaved for so long, which tells them if you are not ready to remove that slave mentality, remove the control system of your mind, you are not ready to go out in a galactic civilization, out into the galactic world, the multiverse, because your mind is still entrapped. It is really simple when you go through the levels of control down to you, and you are at the bottom. You are completely at the bottom of the pile, while those up top relish in your slavery, relish in you worshipping them and feeding them and keeping their existence alive, while you hand out money to the church every Sunday, while you go and listen to a preacher who is an extension of the Pope, who is an extension of the Vatican, who is an extension of the elites, who is an extension of the evil ETs, who is an extension of AI. All you're doing is feeding the negative AI, keeping this planet enslaved. Simple. When you break it down into A, B, C, D, E, you understand. Jesus is just a man like you and I who had a human incarnation, and his purpose was to deliver and teach higher consciousness. Simple. Son of God, you say? Yes, I'm daughter of God. You're daughter of God. You're son of God. We are all essence of creation. We are all creators ourselves. There is no one higher or holier than us, than you. Because creation itself is consciousness. You are a conscious being. Does that make you God? Yes, it does. It does. Does that make you the God? Yes, it does. Because you are consciousness, and God is consciousness. It is creation. Consciousness is creation. Creation is consciousness. Very simple when you lay it out in black and white. When you add emotion and fear, when you add words of others. Now, what you must remember too, every word ever written has been written from someone's perspective, perception, I should say. Every word ever written in history has come from someone's perception, from their own level of consciousness, which means from their own understanding. Doesn't make it true. It means it is what they thought to be true. Doesn't make it true. It means they thought that was true. Same as every word ever spoken. Now, when you break it down, it's easy to see why, with the med beds and the healing centers, people with strong worship in Jesus, religion, cannot work in those centers. Med beds are consciousness-controlled technology. You want the advanced technology, you want all the glories of God, of creation, but you're not willing to let go of what's holding you back from utilizing those creations. It's your choice. At this stage, it is your choice. What do you really want? Do you want to remain in the control system? Or do you want to advance further and go beyond just the earthly realm? Do you want to realize all your power, or remain stuck in a tight little box with the key thrown away? Your choice. You can love Jesus. I love him as a brother. I don't actually have so much to do with him here on Earth when I'm in the secret space program. Yes, I do. Pleiadians and Venusians work hand in hand. They are literally working side by side 24/7. Well, it's not even 24/7 because they don't go by time, but it's just a saying. So yes, I've worked with Jesus while in the secret space program a lot, same as Seth. Seth is one of my main mentors. Okay, Amun-Ra, I'm very well connected with, which I won't get into in this discussion because that's not needed to know just yet. So, Jesus, I trust him with my life. He's a brilliant guy. Does he play jokes on people? Pranks? Like a bunch of guys played pranks on each other? Like the pranks, a whoopee cushion, put tape across a doorway so people run into it, jump out of a box to scare people. Hell yes, he does. Bloody oath he does. He's got me many times. What do? That's right, I play a joke back on him. Why? Because he is no better than me. He's no better than you. He just has a different level of awareness. That's it. A different level of awareness. Why? Because he existed, his consciousness existed in a higher dimensional frequency. We are here in a 3D environment. Therefore, our consciousness has to match that environment. So we are raising our consciousness to 5D, which means we are moving past all of that control system. You can choose to stay in 3D, that's your choice. But don't expect all the glories as well. They go with a higher dimension when you want to remain in the lower dimension. Your choice. That's your free will. So when you work in centers, I'm not talking about being treated. I'm talking about working in medbed and healing centers and existing in a galactic community, which means the 5D New Earth is just this. It's not only medbeds and replicators and technology that creates water and all this other stuff. It's not only that. It's space travel. It's you going to meet other races off planet. It's you communicating telepathically with beings in another universe. It's not just technology. If you want the technology. You have to raise your consciousness to match the environment of that technology. The thing with technology, with all of this, it is vibrational, not just pressing buttons. The technology that we're walking into, it's all about here. It's all about consciousness. It's not just about pressing a few buttons. It's about connecting with it telepathically. I tell you what these beings do, the good guys. They create, get this, they create spaceships through their own consciousness. Not through materials, not through the physical world, through their consciousness. This is the level that we're talking about. You really think that worshipping somebody outside of yourself is going to be able to give you the level of consciousness required to exist in that environment? Hell no. No way. There is no way that you can worship, and I do mean worship, somebody else, and put all your trust and faith in them and bow down to them and be in their shadow and pray to them and exist in this new environment. No way, you're all laughing. You guys must be thinking it's real when that mentality is nothing but a joke. I am not being mean or crucifying anybody. I'm telling you how it is. It's up to you whether you choose to do it or not. I'm not telling you to turn away from Jesus. I'm not telling you to stop asking for assistance. I'm telling you to exist in a higher dimensional, a higher consciousness environment, a galactic community. You need to find and step into your own light, which means stepping out from under others. Very, very simple. Very simple. Now, from my last few bits of information over the last few days, because people didn't bother to listen, they just heard what they wanted and then jumped up and down in temper tantrums and throwing spitballs everywhere at everybody, especially me. To be treated by the medbeds, to be treated, so to be healed by the medbeds, it does not matter what belief you have in Jesus or religion. Makes no difference at all. Right? You can believe in the pink tooth fairy or the purple dragon or some Jesus coming to save you. Makes no difference what you believe to be treated in the medbeds or a healing center. If you want to work with the medbeds, and when I say work, I'm talking about standing next to the medbeds while someone's laying in it. I'm talking about doing people's scanning procedures. I'm talking about preparing patients for their medbed treatment. I'm talking about seeing patients before and after their treatment to help them get into a healthy state of mind. This is what I'm talking about when I say when you work with the beds, you need a higher level of consciousness. Do not confuse the two, which is what 95% of people have done. Do not confuse the two. If you work with the beds, as in treating patients, you need a higher level of consciousness. If you only want to be treated, or you have another project that is farming or building houses or an animal rescue without technology, if those sorts of things, makes no difference what your level of consciousness or your belief system, makes no difference. We are talking about the medbed technology, the healing centers, and existing in a higher consciousness environment, which that's what it is, because we will be working face to face with these higher dimensional beings. You cannot have a worship system and work with these beings. You are not ready to work with them. You are not ready to go into that higher consciousness state or environment. It is that simple. If you don't believe me, wait till after the redemption appointments, then go to apply for training and everything and see what happens. If you think I'm crazy, that's fine. Just wait to see what happens and then you will understand. Oh shit, this guy was actually telling the truth. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, telling the truth. Okay? How do I know this? Because I've done a lot of years in the secret space program, and the secret space program is a galactic community. So yes, I know how it works. I've lived it, I've been there, I've done it. Simple. Really, really simple, guys. Really simple. Most of you, when you have your medbed treatment, will have most of your memories restored and will know what I'm telling you is absolute truth. It's just a matter of time before you realize. And if you don't realize at your medbed, well, disclosure from the white hats will certainly help you along. Okay? Will certainly help you along. Now, I have a couple of questions, only 3 that were sent to me. So here we go. Does truth change in meaning from one dimension to another, or just our own perception of it? Okay, so yes, it does. It does change. As you go through, from what you know now to when you go up through the levels of consciousness, it changes. It does change because your understanding of it changes. Okay, and more information. You receive more information the higher level of consciousness you go. So if you're in a 3D level of consciousness, black is black, white is white, grey is grey. When you go to 4D, there are many shades of black, there are many shades of white, there are many shades of grey. When you go to 5D, now you've got about 10,000 shades of black, 10,000 shades of white, and 10,000 shades of grey, not to mention 10,000 shades of every other colour that in existence. When you get up to 12D, you realise that all those colours are not separate. They're all the same colour. It's just your perception of each colour that changes. Okay, so as you go up through the dimensions, your perception of it, your perception of information or truth will change, as well as your understanding, and you will receive more information. This is where we are right now today, receiving more information. Okay, I am very religious and believe in God. Will I still be able to get help with a medbed? Yes, we just covered that. Makes no difference of your beliefs. Makes no difference of what you believe, you will still get treatment. Simple. Okay, it's only if you want to work with the beds. If you use a med bed, now this one I have to laugh at because I have no idea where it came from, except people not listening to information already given. If you use a med bed, does that mean that all of your beliefs in God are wiped out of your memory? Okay, this more than likely comes from, hang on a second, trying to get my hand comfortable so my fingers don't fall asleep and drop my phone, which will not be helpful. Okay, if you listened to the information I have already given, when you have strong religious beliefs and you go into the secret space program, or you're taken into the secret space program, because you don't volunteer, you're taken, or whether it's with your will or against. If you have strong religious beliefs, the secret space program, before doing anything, will remove those religious beliefs entirely. Okay, you can't remove something, they will suppress it. That's a better word. Let's use suppress, because you can't actually remove it because it's in your DNA. So we'll use the word suppress. When you go into the secret space program with strong religious beliefs, the secret space program will suppress those beliefs. Simple. Why? Because the secret space program is a galactic community, and you cannot have those strong religious beliefs and exist in a galactic community. So they suppress them. When you're finished in the secret space program, you've done your 20 and back or whatever, they will age regress you and release those memories and bring you straight back to Earth within 15 minutes of them taking you. So you have those beliefs again when you wake up. But while you're in the secret space program, no, you cannot have those beliefs because you're part of a galactic community and you will not survive mentally in that environment with those beliefs. It is not possible. So the medbed, why would they erase your beliefs in God just for being treated? That doesn't even make sense. Does not make sense. Okay? No one is going to erase anything out of your mind for being treated. That is the old secret space program. Now the white hats have taken over and it's different. But the old secret space program, yes, they would remove your beliefs. Suppress your religious beliefs. So you're just going in to get your hip fixed and a general healing. What has your beliefs got to do with it? Why would they remove your belief in God? That makes no sense whatsoever. You're there for a physical issue, not a mental issue. Simple. Okay? Very, very simple. All right, so that's all the questions I have that people have sent. Again, I must impress on everybody. Listen, actually listen without emotion or judgment or negativity to what is being said. That way you will have the information instead of some crappy thing that you've created because you didn't listen. Okay? I've received so much abuse from people saying, you said this, you said that. No, I didn't. Go back and listen. Okay? Listen to what's being said. It happens all the time and it is so frustrating. Okay? Really, really frustrating. All right. I'm just going through some comments. Oh my God, look at them all. Holy crap. Oh, wow. Okay, let's have a look here. Be much easier. I have a computer, but I live in one room. So, you know, they're still asleep and it's, yeah, just doesn't work. That's why I'm always outside. Because people are still asleep and my internet goes pretty much offline at 10 a.m. every day, so I have to do it early in the morning. I would like to know if animal chambers can be done on their own. What do you mean by that, Marcel? I would like to know if animal chambers can be done on their own. I have no idea what you're referring to. Okay. One thing too. No, forget that. It just went out of my head what I was about to say. It'll come back if it's important. Okay, I'm just going through comments. So if you're watching the replay, that's what I'm doing. I'm going back through comments. Yeah, they only accept what feels good. Yes, and this is the issue we're having with truthers and humanitarians. They want it all, but are unwilling to be uncomfortable to get it all. If you truly want it, you will face your fears. You will face, you know, uncertainty. You'll face the unknown. Everyone grows in their own time, so it just depends on how much you want it. If you want it, you'll go to the depths to get it. If you don't want it that much, then, you know, you stay in your happy place. It's all choice. But remember, there is always consequences for every choice. So if you want to exist with the medbeds, then you have to make this choice. It's that simple. There is no way out of it. There is no, oh, well, I'll see later. If you want to exist with the medbeds and work with them and work in a higher dimensional space, then This is the choice you're going to have to make. It's literally that simple. This is black and white. There is no gray area. Okay. Honest question, what about those who worship characters of fiction? Same thing. What if you are putting your faith, your trust, and your life in the hands of another? And we're not talking about surgery or anything like that. We're talking about worship, and it's the same with people with psychics. You know, I used to do a lot of psychic readings, and I stopped doing the actual psychic part because people were coming to me, you know, many times a day wanting me to tell them if spirit tells them to, it's yes or no, to make their decisions for them. It's the same mentality. It's that slave mentality that they don't want to make decisions on their own. They put their trust and faith in someone else to do it for them. They won't make a move without being told to. They worship every and go by every single word written in a book. They, you know, it's this whole mentality that they can't do without being told it's okay to do. Okay, this is the same mentality as worshipping somebody else. So yes, worship fictional characters of fiction, exactly the same thing. And I'm going to say it, and this is going to go whoa to a lot of people. Jesus, from what you guys know of Jesus, is a fictional character. He's a character of fiction because the whole story is fictional. It's not true. So, same thing. Wolverine goes to church, but that is okay. Again, he's on his own path. If he wishes to go to church, it's his free will. If he wants to work with the beds, then we need to get out of this mental system. So yes, if you want to work with the beds, then you're going to have to think which is more, do you want to progress, or do you want to stay in the slave system? And I have a feeling that everyone who goes to church, once disclosure happens, will definitely want to burn those churches down and want nothing to do with it and feel really, really stupid in some cases. Okay? The priest is supposed to answer to God, even the Pope. Yeah, no, they don't. They don't. They answer to the elites, and the elites answer to the negative ET beings, reptilians. Now remember, reptilians, there are over 1,000 different reptilian races. Most of them are very positive, kind beings to humans. So these evil, draconian, Archon ones, they're not friendly. Okay, so don't go saying, oh, all reptilians are nasty. No, they're not. There's over 1,000 different races. Okay, and the negative ones, they answer to AI. So priests answer to AI, the negative AI. So you want to expose the Pope for his crimes with children? You're sitting in church or praying to that system. You're praying to that satanistic system. And that's what Christianity, Catholicism, and all of that is. It is a satanic system. It's just another branch. It's a fancy name for the truth of what you're actually doing. So you sitting in church, listening to a preacher, you're actually sitting in a satanic cult. I said it. You're sitting in a satanic cult, assisting those pedophiles and Satanists do child sacrifice and trafficking and all their satanic rituals. That's what you're supporting. That is what you're supporting. Church is cabal. Damn straight it is. There is a difference between worship and beliefs. Yeah, of course. Of course. Belief in something is one thing. When you worship, that's something entirely different. Sorry, two pigeons. One's trying to court the other. When you worship something, you've actually moved further away from God or source than towards it. Okay. Will these medbed centres be gone in 4 or 5 years after the entire planet returns to health, and will there only be individual homes and major centres? Okay, looks like we're offline. Okay, sorry guys, I think we're offline. We'll have to cut it off there.